I gotta find that picture too. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Chronic Conversations. As always, I'm your host, Jerry Anderson. I have a very special guest with me tonight. You know him as a professional wrestling manager, a commentator, wrestler. I use that term loosely when I speak about Sing Nick. Um, but also involved in the mental health field, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today as soon as I get the shout outs to my sponsors done and over with. Before I do that, let me of course say hello to my beautiful wife and co-host. You will get to see her hand tonight. There it is. You get to see her a little bit on Fight Night. There she is. She'll be joining us. She might jump in with questions. You saw she didn't hear us. Real quick, let me cover that we had a horrible technical night. Whatever technical. Oh, is this?
Yeah, gross.
I was going to hold this up for you.
Oh no!
That came in the mail today. I said, "Oh my god, I got to show this to Nick. He'll love this."
You're gross. Serious. Rather see a picture of Diesel.
No, I told you he did that. See, she didn't believe me. I was like, "See, Nick bloodied him all up." But anyway, that's another story for another episode. Thanks for joining us, Nick. We'll just jump right into it today. No problem. She's bringing up. Yeah, we got this far. We got to the hands waving and you didn't hear us. I apologize for that. Like I said, whatever an amazing tech person is, I'm the exact opposite of that. I've had to self-teach myself as an old man, all these things. And you know what that's like, trying to teach your grandpa how to use a new phone. So I do apologize for the commentary not being attached. Yeah, shout out to the old people. Peoples, whatever. We know where the mistake was made and it's been corrected, and we'll get it. But like I said, we're going to jump right into it. Today's episode is called Mental Health Matters. As I had stated before, I'm kind of gearing a lot of my shows, even the normal conversations, towards mental health, because most of the comments and commentary and DMs I get concern mental health, or asking questions about mental health, or what I do, or what I think somebody else does. Or so I thought this would be a chance for people to either write in. If you want to do it live, I'll try to get your question on the air, or if not, DM me later. I'll try to get your question in at another time, and we'll try to have a variety of people, including different religions. I want to have somebody of the Christian religion here and talk to him about how Christians deal with mental health. I want to have a Buddhist practitioner, possibly a Buddhist monk here, talking about how they do so, because I want everybody where it resonates with them. Because one of the things you're going to notice about all these mental health talks is that different folks, different strokes for different folks need different things. There's different kind of therapies, which we'll talk about today as well. But before we do that, Sing Nick, how did you start your journey into mental health as an occupation, and also dealing with it as just a human, every day
in this world, right?
In this world.
It's intro to my family. They went to medical field, mom, RN, all of that. And initially, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I could be like a doctor or something. But then just me 10 years old, I thought that involved blood. I'm like, I don't want to deal with blood. Here I am in wrestling, right? But it was that I said, well, I could help people like with what's going on with them mentally. Mm-hmm. And at the time too, I was dealing with stuttering, and it became even more pronounced when my father passed away at a young age. So it got worse. And I feel working with someone's mental health, that was a dream that kind of stayed consistent. Like 10 years old, yeah, you think about.
That's what I was going to ask, is if that's something that you thought about since you was little bitty, Nick, or that was more adult. So all your life you've really.
Yeah, little Nick. Yep. You think about wrestling. You think about, okay, when you're a teenager. At least for me, it's I could be in a boy band. I can't sing. Right. So, but the counseling, I always stay consistent, and it has its challenges because you deal with a bureaucracy, sometimes a system, depending on where you work, and insurance. But overall, I love it. I love being able to see that change in people over time. It's never going to be something that's immediate, but it's that satisfaction of seeing someone just slowly but surely kind of get to a better part of their life.
And that's something we need to talk about for sure today too. There is no magic bullet. There is no magic pill. It's a process. It's work. Whether you are diagnosed with an actual diagnosable mental illness, or you're just dealing with life. Life is tough nowadays. We just went through a pandemic. There's inflation. There's the threat of war. There's all kinds of things going on to affect anxiety and depression. But outside of that, it seemed with even out all that, there seems to be higher levels of depression and anxiety among people. Why do you think that is? And what steps out of, because a lot of people, when they ask the question, what do they want you to, they want to hear, take this pill or read this book, and then everything will be better. But it's a journey. It's not, the goals can kind of move a little bit. So describe that kind of for us, what the process was like for you.
For me, it was, on my own journey, it's kind of just realizing, okay, something just isn't right. I feel low energy. I feel like I don't really care. That what they call a fancy word, anhedonia.
Yeah.
Lack of pleasure. You don't
apathetic.
Yep. You don't feel that way about certain things you love. Like at one point, video games, love those, and it's like I don't want to see, use the language, I don't want to see that shit. That's how I felt at that moment. And I couldn't answer why at first, and I was like, let me go and get evaluated. And I thought about, okay, what would I tell a patient? And I went and.
You think your willingness to get evaluated was a part of you being a counselor, or was that just something you were comfortable with anyway? Because a lot of people, that's the hardest part, is asking for help. So how did you break through that barrier?
Honestly, even though you're told that, we're all human, you're human first, counselor, whatever your title is after that, it still was kind of like, I had to do this and I'm helping people. Am I a hypocrite? Am I, all these things?
Right.
The reality is, once again, just human, and things happen. And I had to deal with, losing my grandmother, who's like a pillar in my life. And I didn't realize that initially that, okay, this is why I'm feeling like crap.
Yeah.
And it took some time. I was offered medication, Zoloft, all that, but I didn't want to take it. I went alternative route.
I want to bring that back up too, because there's an article I want to get your opinion on that has to do with mental health.
And I didn't want to go that route. I decided that, okay, let me see what else can I do, coping skill wise. How can I get myself out of this funk? Well, I can challenge myself. Okay, I'm gonna get myself out of bed at this time. Kind of make a goal, a daily goal in a sense. If I hit that goal, I'm not gonna beat myself up, because hey, you live to try again.
Right.
And I kept that going. Eventually, I got myself to like a better state of mind. And also, too, another major thing that I did that helped later on is I encourage people to get their blood labs done, because sometimes it's not necessarily, it may not be something happening in your life that makes you anxious, depressed. This might be your levels are all out of whack. Like for,
hormone levels, for example, right?
Yep, exactly.
Start with, right? Because they control, basically our emotions are chemicals, right? And most things, most of our triggers that triggers us to be happy, sad, scared, whatever, is some kind of chemical response. So if those are messed up, they can affect the way you feel. Now, leading to that, there's been something out by scientists or doctors, but been researchers saying that they don't believe lack of serotonin is the cause of depression anymore. Just from, I know you're not a scientist, but just from the experience you have in your field, how do you feel about that? What's your opinion on that? As far as, do you think it does or it doesn't? What do you think about the medicines that we use today? Are there good medicines, bad medicines? Because that's a scary thing to broach too. Some people are on one side or the other, and I'll tell you which side I'm on after I let you speak on it. But what do you feel about the serotonin issue? To a layman, the other layman's out there watching, explain to them what that means. And
pretty much your happy chemical, in the sense that kind of keeps you balanced and well. I do think that maybe certain things are overhyped. I also think too, with certain research, It depends on who's backing it. What was the peer group involved? Was it across, all cultures and stuff in the United States?
Cross section, right?
Yeah, all those different things you got to take into account. And so I would have to kind of really look at it and kind of look at it myself and see if there are any other studies related to it. But
I won't lie. Normally, I do my research. I did not get my research in for this episode. I apologize. Normally, I'd have more knowledge on this subject, but I thought I'd broach it with you anyway. I really believe. I think it's one of those things I have seen. Medicine help people. Myself, unfortunately, none of those medicines help. I found other things that help. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we talked about that, like kind of at the beginning, different things for different people. So don't let things I say maybe negative because of my personal experience steer you away from that as a possibility. But do your research too, and don't jump on it just because it's the easiest thing for the doctor to do. Because as somebody who's in the military, and if you're in the military, the easiest thing for them docs to do is just.
Yeah, because a lot of offices you go
to. How do you feel now? Well, we'll give you a higher dose, so you're not a higher dose. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try this other thing.
They don't look at alternatives as much anymore because it's so much quicker just to go to, okay, I can write a prescription for this, and I can and also too the facility you go to, they have pharmaceutical companies in and out sometimes. You got to, promote this.
Reps, bringing them good dinners.
Yep.
About all that.
So they got promoted. And, just like you, though, I'm not against medication. If it's needed, it's needed. Like if you're to the point where, okay, this isn't working, this goal setting, journaling, whatever, that isn't helping, it may be okay for a little bit, at least for antidepressants, 6 months is a good start. You can, try it out 6 months, see where you're at.
Right.
And also, talk to a professional if you want to get off it and stuff, because a lot of these you have to kind of wean yourself off. You don't just turkey, I'm stopping. Yeah. That I've seen that go so wrong. So
yeah, in so many ways and in so many situations coming off that can cause some really bad problems. And you talk about some of the alternatives. It's sort of like with physicality. When you have an injury, a lot of times you'll try things like physical therapy, stretching, yoga, other things before you jump straight into surgery. And that's kind of what we're talking about here, because medicine is a form of therapy, but there's other forms. And I want to get to some of those as well. Let's talk about like going to a counselor or a therapist. And there's different kinds of talk therapy. There's CBT therapy amongst others. Talk about some of those and why somebody might want to check into something like that before, finding somebody they can trust, somebody they can talk to, somebody they feel comfortable with, and then talking with them about if medicine should be a possibility or a part of everything else that we'll talk about later.
Okay. Well, essentially, when you're looking for a therapist, I always like to tell people to keep in mind, okay, what exactly are you looking to gain from it? What exactly are you willing to...
First question from my therapist was that. What do you want out of this?
Exactly.
Which is shocking to a lot of people because you're not really thinking of that because what do you think? I'm broken, I need fixed, but you don't really start thinking about what's broken or what I want fixed or what fixed is. Like I didn't have any of those questions answered when I first went to therapy. So that's some amazing advice that I had forgotten about that you might want to think about before you go. I'll let you continue. Sorry about that.
You're good. Trust me. You ask yourself that question. You ask yourself, okay, let's say we have things kind of narrowed down. I've been through trauma in my life. I have PTSD from it. I grew up, and it's not always, military. It might be you live in a bad neighborhood. There's gang violence going on, all kind of things.
You're in a bad wreck. You saw somebody shot. Like any kind of trauma. That's what my therapist told me because I thought, I handed her all this stuff, and I go, but and I was in the military, and I was like, so I don't see how this or this could have caused it. And she goes, wait, you don't? That's a lot of stuff because we always think ours isn't that much and somebody else is much, much worse, right?
Yeah.
But that shouldn't stop you from seeking these forms of don't compare yourself because your pain, your depression, your anxiety is different than anybody else's and you can't compare it. Even if you have similar diagnosis or anything else, still different. You're still different people.
Oh, yeah. Some people with depression or any mental health condition could be very high functioning and you would never know it. Unless you dig a little deeper and you kind of look beyond the surface, you'll never know it. But ask those questions. Ask yourself, okay, what am I looking to gain? How far am I looking to go? Am I looking for a quick fix? Because maybe you're thinking, okay, you're keeping your insurance company in mind, which unfortunately they rule the world. But like if that's the case too, think about, okay, if I have this, what options do I have? A lot of employees offer EAP, which would be little cost to you. You get at least 6 free sessions. If whatever you're going in for is a little, okay, I need more time, therapist can write a letter to the insurance company, get you more sessions. It's always a way.
That's good.
But let's just think about, kind of what you're seeking, what you want. And if medication might be offered or even discussed, how do you really feel about that? Do you believe in a stigma with it? Or are you just say, okay, you treat it like it's anything else, like it's physical?
Are you prepared to be okay with the fact that if that's what helps you, that's what you're going to need to do from this point forward? You can't dilly-dally with it. Like if it truly helps you and it gets you to a place where you need to be mentally, but then that leads to a lot of people don't like to take that. I feel better. I want to stop it. I'm sure it comes in as a problem. Side effects, the many that come along with them. So say you're trotting along and you have something that works out good or something, there's a side effect that you don't like. There's a lot of times they will, as in my case, they will offer you another medicine for the side effect of things. Instead of doing that, there's other different methods, and we'll get those a little bit too, such as breathing methods and other avenues you can take to help with the side effects of those pills. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So we've covered medicine, and we've covered a little bit of like the talk therapy or the cognitive behavioral therapy. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the serotonin. That was the article. Yeah. Of course. That's what we were talking about. That's a chemical in the brain that they think is low, and they would give you a serotonin thing to help with the chemical to balance it out. But now scientists don't know if it's necessarily serotonin that's leading to depression. If that's true, then they're going to have to change up the medicine or figure out why it is helping other people. Or and it's a continuing thing when it's medicine or mental health or physical health. Especially like in nutrition is the same way. 1 week you can eat, you can only eat 3 eggs a week. The next week you can eat eggs all day, every day. And so the science is changing. So you do need to, again, it's work. If you have a mental health problem, it's your job to fix you, nobody else's. You don't wait for anybody else to come in and do that for you. That's the first thing you need to do. And the second thing is be aware of your own bullshit. And then go talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
Because you got to be aware of your own bullshit before you talk to somebody else or try these other methods. They're not going to be taught.
Yeah.
You got to be honest with yourself, right?
It takes a pure, honest conversation with yourself. I have, just say to yourself and admit it. I have this issue and I need to do something about it. Because you had to take that moment, had that moment of clarity. Okay, this is affecting not only myself, but people around me, people I care about, people I love. And sometimes I had to do that with patients who deal with schizophrenia. And sometimes it varies and stuff, the levels of it. Some people might have auditory hallucinations, hearing things, or they may only have visual hallucinations, seeing things.
There's spectrums of each mental health disorder as well as.
Absolutely. And sometimes, sometimes I had to take consideration, okay, that's been familiar for them. They're comfortable with it. However,
right.
If it's getting too extreme to it's affecting, okay, they can still live somewhere. That's when I'd have a talk with them. Okay, this is affecting this. If you were to continue this, this medication, some of this would be a little alleviated. We can get you something that can help. Sometimes it's Cogentin. It's one of those other newer ones they have out here now. That they advertise to death during like CNN or news or something, but it's always something else or Benadryl, standard Benadryl. As long as
it doesn't cause anaphylactic shock. Boy, it seems like everything causes that anaphylactic shock.
That's just for peyronie's.
Yes, that's just for peyronie's. That's a different episode.
What were you saying about Benadryl though?
But if you do think you have peyronie's, go on paincare.com. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you could. Benadryl can help as well with those side effects. Because sometimes, even on a where there's on an inpatient level or therapeutic level, let's say if someone's taking Haldol, which is an antipsychotic, the Benadryl could be used instead of Cogentin. They could be used instead of Cogentin to help with any side effects. Now, the only thing, both of them can cause some drowsiness, of course, but I look at this way.
Reward, right? Is the risk worth the reward? And
Yep.
what level is your mental health, and how is it affecting your everyday life versus how the side effects will do it?
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, I've met some people with migraines so bad they literally want to bang their head against the wall to get rid of the pain. So
yep.
There's that thing going on for sure of are the side effects worth it?
Definitely.
And there are many natural things out there that you can experiment with. Just do especially with some of the herbal things. You got to be careful because they're not controlled by the FDA and things. So you definitely want to do your research, talk to people in the knowledge about those. But
and kind of think about what else you're taking too. Let's say if you're taking
mixes,
or blood pressure medications,
right?
Each thing can affect one another, and make sure you discuss that with your doctor. And
even if it's on the counter, make sure you talk to a doctor before you. Just like anything else, your mental health, your physical health,
everything, and just always you have a right. You're paying your copay, or hell, if you're going for free, you're still the patient.
Right.
That for yourself. Talk. The doctor isn't all knowing. He's not omnipotent. Can't talk.
Right.
Just say, okay, hey, but what about this? Or even mention, hey, I've read this article. What are they gonna do? Be mad? They are.
Yeah.
It's
all to practice, right? That's what he's doing.
Right. You got to be able to challenge them, say something, just advocate for yourself.
And it's not a case of ego or you know it all or I know more than the doctor, but I do know me more than the doctor. So I got to mix my knowledge of who I am with and what I know with the doctor. And if you're with a good doctor, they'll be good at explaining to you why this is wrong or why that's right or why maybe you should or shouldn't feel that way. If you ever have a doctor that dismisses you, dismiss that doctor if you can. Again, insurance, and I understand all that, and some people are trapped in certain situations, but if you can, find one that's at least not trying to roll one in and one out. You know what I mean?
Yep. Fire your doctor, fire your counselor if you have to. If you're not feeling like a connection or like they're trying to help you, or if they're too much of a rookie in the field, then by all means. And they're trained
for whatever reason. Yeah, that's very important. And I love that my counselor told me that straight up too, as well as when I spoke to him. Is she was like, "Look, if you don't like me now, or in 2 weeks you don't like me, let me know. I will set you up with somebody I think might suit you better." And I appreciated that it wasn't an ego thing for her. That's how I knew she really wanted to help me. And even though we had some disagreements in ideology, I could still work with her because I trusted her. And to me, that's because you're making yourself vulnerable. So find somebody you trust, right?
Absolutely. And if there's no trust there, if you feel like, okay, this isn't going well, or this isn't the kind of person for me, or maybe they're not coming from the therapeutic approach where there be CBT, DBT, mindfulness, stuff like that.
Right.
If it's not fitting you, then fire them. And they understand that we're trained to understand that.
Yeah. Counselors not just trained to know what they know, but they're trained to know what they don't know.
Yep.
At least the good ones are that I've found. And the other ones will either try to fake it, and you can always tell, or so definitely if you get a chance. And sometimes maybe all you need to do is talk to a friend. So if you can start there, especially a good friend, somebody that knows you really well and is going to know when things maybe aren't right enough to be like, hey, maybe you should talk to somebody else. And then then you have that feedback from somebody else as well, confirming, because sometimes we need that extra little push to do these things that somebody else saying it's okay. So if you need that little push, I guarantee St. Nick will agree with me, and I'm telling you, go ahead and get it done, man. Get this started. Let's jump into some other methods. You talk about mindfulness. That's one of my favorite things in the world, because mindfulness to me, I'll give you my layman's definition, is being in the moment. It's
Yep.
not having a worry about the future, because that's what worry is to me, and depression is living in a past that doesn't exist anymore. The only thing that really exists, and no matter what religion, mindfulness is a tenet. It is a principle, whether it's in philosophy too, whether it's Stoicism, Buddhism, Christianity. Jesus didn't say, I'm the great I will be, or I'm the great I was. He says, I'm the great I am. So to me, personally, that one principle and concept is what everything else we're talking about is trying to get us to do, be in the moment. Whether it's mindfulness, whether I do Wim Hof, whether it's cold plunges, breathing, medicine, whether it's things that are unhealthy, drugs, sex, whatever else you might use as an escape. That's what you're trying to do, is bring yourself into the moment or escape it. That's all what it's all about, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think I really like that tenet. It's kind of a tenet of a DBT, which is dialectic behavior therapy.
Yeah.
And it was really fancy, just saying, having a conversation, talking, communicating. And you can't really communicate unless you have that mindfulness. Kind of peace and live within that moment and not embrace anything that's ahead or behind. And it takes a minute to get to that point. Sometimes the best way to get to that point is, okay, think about pros and cons of your current situation or behavior or whatever. Think about
making that list. This is what I can control. This is what I can't control.
Yeah.
I love that. And I've studied so many different therapies and stuff. And religions and everything. And I've taken, I like what Stoics say, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. People used to ask them all the time, why do you listen to these Epicureans, And they said basically the same thing, because, I'll listen to anybody. If they say one line, I'll throw out the rest of the book, but I'm still going to take that one line.
Yep.
So we got to be careful about that, right? Not throwing out the baby with the bathwater kind of thing.
Right. And that's a good thing. You think about those kind of lists and just having that conversation within yourself. And then, you kind of get that journey to peace to just say to yourself, it is what it is. And had that moment. And sometimes
isn't that one of the most powerful statements ever, even though it's a cliche? Like the word awesome, like when you truly think about what awesome means, or amazing, or that, then it's just really focus on, because a lot of things we say sound cliche, and we say them over and over, and you hear things kind of half-ass intellectually, but not really mindfully. You don't really take it in, but when you take it in, it is what it is. Or fucks. I'm reading this book about bullshit's the art of bullshit or something like that, or the art of not putting up bullshit. I can't remember, but it's an entertaining little book, and it's from this blogger guy. But anyway, he kind of talks about having fucks, and it's not because, some people say I don't give a fuck. He's like, it's not good to have no fucks, because you do need fucks to get by in life. You just don't look way too many, so you allot yourself so many in the day, and once you've gone through the fucks, or they're fucks not worth giving, or again, what you can't control, then you don't give them. You just save those for something that you can work on, right? Because the only thing we can work on is us. Everybody wants the world to change, but nobody wants to change themselves.
Absolutely. And, that's the thing. As I say, start small scale. All starts with you, the individual.
Right.
And how you take in things like, even things like traffic. Yeah, everyone gets frustrated about traffic. It's a given. But it's nothing you can control. It's been this way for years.
It's in fate's hands.
Yeah.
Universe, gods, whatever you believe in.
Yeah. It's like if I'm going to work, and it used to be like years ago, it used to be really bad. I would have anxiety. I'm like, oh, what are they going to think about me? What are they going to say? And then I just slowly thought about, what does it matter what they say? I can't do anything about all this. They know where I'm coming from.
My business what they think about me.
Right. It's just,
I always like that saying.
I'm here now. I'm doing a job. I'm doing the work. It's getting done.
And no matter how much you say it, it's having awareness, really, because everybody's going to overthink. Everybody's going to overcare. Everybody's going to give a fuck too much. But, at the end of the day, it's a thing you just need to be aware of and dial it back, right? Because it can take hold of us and bring us to a place to where we don't want to be mentally, physically, and then lead to dealing with things other ways. Now, there are a lot of negative ways we talked about, sex, drugs, and rock and roll to deal with bad stuff. Let's talk about some of the good, more natural stuff going from mindfulness. Let's talk about some of the stuff that can help you get mindfulness. Thank you, River City Media Sports Talk. It's another podcast you should go check out sometime. Appreciate you watching and commenting over there. I wrote a list of things, and there's lots of holes in the list because there's a lot more I do. I always joke I have a full-time job and staying not crazy. But really, these things are really minute things. I call my puzzle my anxiety puzzle or my mental health puzzle. And what I try to do to have a clearer picture of it is just whatever pieces fit, I throw them in there, and then I'll take a little shot and look back. And then as long as I seem to continue to do those, I still have bad days. I still have PTSD. Everything's still there, but there's an acceptance to it that gives you a calmness and a confidence, right? Like you had some really bad anxiety day and you pushed through it, and pushing through it, you were already starting to be proud of yourself and proud of the moment that, there's little things. I talk about the anxiety wall. Everybody has different anxiety walls. Some people can't talk on the phone. Some people can't order food. Some people can't go out of their house. They're agoraphobic. But whatever your anxiety wall is, somebody else's is never silly, and you just got to think of it like yours. It's yours are hard to push through, other people's are hard to push through. But there are things that will help you push through those walls, and it's those little victories, those little pieces you put together for your puzzle overall. So I'm going to start calling out some things on the list. You give me your impression, what you think in it, just whatever comes to your mind first as I call it out. And I'll probably forget some things, and as after we get to the end of the list, if you want to add some more, please feel free to add some more. So let's start with the first one, diet. How important is diet to your mental health and why?
That's major. When you're on a journey of change, if you're eating a lot of fat, sugary stuff, this is going to slow you down, which in turn is going to add to any negative feelings you have.
Right.
It may feel comforting at first when you have, to indulge some ice cream or something. Right. You're gonna blow up and it's not gonna feel good,
No, it don't feel good afterwards, do it?
It's gonna stick with you in a negative way. And then you had to kind of fight another battle with having to wean yourself off of that and kind of get used to not having that. So I tell people to kind of minimize those things, have a little bit of it, have that fun and freedom, but just don't go overboard ever.
Balance, right? It's moderation. And I will say this, I forget which philosopher said it, but he said even moderation and moderation. So literally everything in moderation, right?
Absolutely.
You gotta have some fun in life. You're going to go to Christmas parties. You're going to go to things you can't deny yourself things, but you can cut back on how much you do use them. And what I try to do is I don't label foods good or bad. I label them simply nutritional or non-nutritional. Right. And I try to stick to the more nutritional things, especially if it used to breathe or grows out of the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From there, you kind of work it out. But everybody makes things complicated. Diets is one of those things people make complicated, right?
Yeah, overcomplicated. It's like some people, they go so far with it, they take any fun out of it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can have fun.
Showing up at the parties with their 3 grains of whatever and their edamame or whatever while it's like, have a fucking cupcake. You're okay.
Exactly.
Calories in, calories out do work. If you
can work. Balance it.
Yeah. Well, it didn't take you. That's another thing too, is that you didn't get them abs in one day, and you're not going to happy to see a new episode. Well, glad we can put one out. Scrambled Legs 423. I love that, by the way. Scrambled Legs 423. Jacktown. Happy to have a new episode coming out. And I'll be perfectly honest. The reason one didn't come out Monday is I was having a bad mental health day. And like you said, I was really apathetic. And, I have those days where I'm like, fuck the show. But even though it means a lot to me and I know how much good it does, sometimes I even get in myself. And even as much as I'm against some things, it doesn't make me a critic to be or a hypocrite to be against things like self-victimization, even though I will have a tendency doing it. But I'm aware of it. The thing is to be aware of it, not let it become a problem. So it's okay to be human. It's okay to be an asshole, as they say. Just don't abuse the privileges, right?
Right.
So diet, definitely very important. And that includes, when we talk about nutrition and diet, that includes what you drink too.
Oh yeah.
Everything you put in your body is fueling it, because that's what food is for. It's become more of a pleasure mechanism, or
Mm-hmm.
a drug, or because it's the hardest drug I deal with. I binge eat and I wake up in the morning with sugar hangovers sometimes,
Yep.
and feel guilt, like you would have thought if you seen me the day after and how I treat myself back in the past, you would have thought I did heroin last night or something. And it's just as bad. I'm just killing myself a lot more slowly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm no better than a heroin addict because it's food. Like, we're
Yeah.
on the same level. Like I said, everybody has those different things that we can't judge each other for. So,
Everyone has a vice. Yeah.
yeah. So forgiveness too, right? Because you're going to mess up.
Mhm.
You're,
Oh
you're
yeah, absolutely.
you're gonna mess up and eat wrong. You're gonna skip a pill. You're gonna whatever. So to avoid self sabotage, I really think that's important as well, is to not do that
Tell
thing.
yourself,
You know what that thing is when I say don't do that thing, right?
right. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't hate on yourself.
Mhm. And it
Don't
happens, you
so,
gotta just, like you
so,
said, forgive yourself and move forward.
yeah, I mean that's truly what it's all about. Is things happen in the moment, but that moment's fixing to be gone, and you're about to take a step forward into another moment. And it may be good, it may be bad, but you don't fixate on that. You're still in the moment. As long as you're in that moment, to me, like, that moment lasts forever, right? That's all we
Yep.
do is when we pop out of our mom's vaginas, we hop on the life surfboard and ride that thing and until the wheels come off. Well, the
Yeah.
surfboard doesn't have wheels. That was a really stupid analogy. That's why I have seen Nick on here. The second word I want to throw at you is another very important one, and something people don't like to hear, because again, they don't want to hear this is going to take work. When you hear people say, the number one thing I hate to hear is, yeah, I've been working on myself. My question is, really, how? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, work on yourself. You really need to work on yourself. You need to do shadow work. You need to do the things you need to do to keep you where you need to be. And a lot of people, I don't have time, blah, blah. You either find excuses or solutions. You have to hate how you feel more than you hate doing the things you need to do to get better, right?
Absolutely.
So next one on the list is exercise.
Oh yeah, that's major. And I used to, when I had patients, especially during like the pandemic, when it was letting up a little bit, not really, but a little bit, like in January 2021, people wanted to go back to the gym. I said, you can go back to the gym. And they're like, well, how? I said, well, you can still have your mask on. And if you kind of feel a certain way, you can go in there and wear gloves. Well, what about what other people say? Who cares? You're there for
You
you.
can't control that, right?
Yeah, have your headphones on. You're in your own world. And whatever they do, they do.
Work out at home with not a single piece of equipment. You can have the greatest workout
Yeah.
ever. Or you can walk. Walking is one of, to me, the most underrated exercise in existence. You don't have to run. You don't have to lift weights. Just walk a little bit every day.
Oh.
When I say exercise, people automatically jump to the weights and the hit.
You got to be a bodybuilder.
You have to be a bodybuilder. If you do a little bit of something every day, those little habits are going to add up. And if you don't believe me, keep a gratitude journal. We'll get into that later, journaling. But let me tell you, when you put one page after another, some days you get to a day where you have no more gratitude. And then you just look back at all that stuff you wrote down before, and you see how all that adds up so quickly. And you're like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. Because a lot of times it's the overthinking, right? We're making a mountain out of a molehill.
Like
exercise.
It's kind of like you have a bad 15-minute experience with someone and you turn it into a whole 24 hours. That's not necessary. That person has moved on with their life. They've forgotten all about you, and you're sitting there still thinking about them.
Letting them rent space in your brain.
Yep, it makes no sense. Kick their ass out because rent is overdue. They're not paying. Get them out.
Right.
What you want to do.
Yeah. So really, I mean, and the diet thing, I get people will say, it's really expensive to eat healthy, and it is, especially if you go the whole organic, grass fed, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
It can be very expensive, but there are small changes. Again, everything doesn't have to be. You're not trying. When I say you need exercise, you don't need to make your goal a marathon. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. It can be, pushing through my anxiety or my depression to walk outside and do one walk around the block or to the mailbox and back, because every little small step builds on another step, right?
Oh yeah.
So we got
And
diet.
we mentioned diet. Like portion control is major. Do portion control. If you can't afford all these other things and stuff, you can still eat healthy, you know, within your budget. Just limit those portions.
Right. Go with nutrition. The more 20% or more you see next to vitamins and minerals on the back of a package,
Mhm.
the more likely you should be to get that product versus something else. There's lots of viable, cheaper products nowadays and ways you can stay a lot healthier. Hobbies. Now, both of us, me in the past being a professional wrestler and you in the professional wrestling now, is definitely a hobby. Besides professional wrestling, what other things do you do? Because they say the best thing to do is to have two hobbies, right? One that you make a living at and one that you do for fun. And if seems like you pretty much got that covered, but outside of those two things, what is there anything else Scenic does to unwind or to relax or to focus or be mindful?
I like to sometimes I like to what kind of easier thing I like to just get into any new show or that someone might suggest, recommend. Like right now I'm into P Valley on Stars. If y'all haven't already, check it out. But that's a good show. Just the depth, the acting, the characters is really good. Sometimes reading. I've always liked to read. Um, and I like to watch you know, some murder kind of mystery things. Like I love to watch things like actually A&E is the only channel I actually watch. I stream everything else, but I like First 48. I love Guilty or Innocent, those kind of shows. In addition to that, you know, playing video games. I love doing that in moderation, of course, because you don't want to sit there for like 6 hours. This is too much.
Right. There's
But
one thing having a little, you know, a little fun, like you said, the moderation of it. And there's nothing being to where that's where you live is inside of that game or inside of this or that or the other. If you don't live inside of something, live inside of books. You can never learn too much, right?
oh yeah, always there's always some out there. Even like within the field, like for some, you know, once they get in the field, they're like, okay, I passed all that schooling, I'm good. I learned about those dead guys, we're good. You know, there's still research going on constantly and changes being made. Like
new interpretations, all kinds of things.
Absolutely. It's something always new coming out. There's always a new medication coming out, of course.
Right.
You know, keep up with it, even if you're, you know, simply a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
People are still going to look at you as an expert. They're going to ask you some questions, and you know, have yourself prepared. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And besides wrestling, like I love to work on music. I wish I could sing, but I love to work on music, and I try to write lyrics down. Kind of picture, okay, if I actually could sing, this is what I say, and this is how I sing it. So those kind of things.
Well, that sounds like that's more of the passion type thing. That so it's you're actually when you have a hobby, it's about more than just having a hobby. It's about being creative. When you create, you know, you are that higher power for a moment, and you get to live in both through your creation, because creating to me is the most amazing of all amazing things in the truest definition of the term amazing, right? It's nothing and then it's something, like a song. Like there's no song here, you know, there's a guitar with 6 strings, there's a million songs on it, there's, you know, 26 letters in the alphabet, there's millions and billions of songs. It's so amazing that people can create. So if you and you don't, he loves to sing, but he says he's not good at it. I love to paint, but I'm horrible at it. There are things you can do even in those creations. You don't have to be a Picasso or the next, you know, rock band or whatever. Just find something you enjoy or love doing and do it for purely the passion of it, because it's something that brings happiness to your heart. Don't worry about comparing yourself to somebody else or anything like that. After hobbies, I have hydration. That's one that's not really put up there a lot, but we're mostly water, and I'm probably going to fuck this up because, again, I'm not real smart, but it's at a very low percentage of dehydration, it starts affecting our mental cognitive function, which I would imagine would cause emotional and all kinds of problems as well. So having water throughout the day can be a big help, or switching from sugary sodas and juices all day to water can help as well. So hydration, something that you think about or ever thought about maybe for mental health?
Absolutely. Because you think about what you put in your body, like we talked about earlier, it does affect you throughout your day. If I were to, let's say, I love Coca-Cola from
Right.
Georgia. I'm in Georgia. But I can't drink it every day. If I drink it every day, for one, I'm gonna get more of a gut than I already have.
Mhm.
Number two, all that sugar and stuff intake is gonna start affecting my mood. I'm gonna go from feeling good, oh, feels good, I had a Coke, I indulged myself,
Mhm.
to okay, I'm starting to get anxious and kind of pissed off. It can switch just like that. It can affect your mood. And I think that's a
Like
big
being
thing.
hungry,
People
right?
need
If you're
to consider.
dehydrated.
Yeah. And if you don't have enough water in you, whew, that can still affect your mood as well, because you're scrambling, you start getting anxious. Sometimes you can have feelings almost like someone who has a drop in blood sugar, they're diabetic.
Right.
You start sweating, you start feeling like, okay, I'm feeling weak, I need something.
Mm-hmm.
And that weakness can cause anxiety, that can cause mood swings, it can
Muscle
cause
cramps,
you to feel
physical
low.
things that lead to.
Yep. Everything affects you from head to toe. So I encourage you all, make sure you drink enough water. I'm not saying go out here and buy 3 gallons and
No.
drink 3 gallons of water.
A lot of people don't understand there's a lot of foods that hydrate you too. A lot of foods are between 70 and 90% water, from cucumbers to watermelons to apples. All kinds of things out there. Even a steak is like almost 70% water. You get hydration through food. So yeah, definitely not saying just go out there and drink you a keg of water every day or anything else. But sip on the water throughout the day. You start your day with water. You're dehydrated when you first wake up. If you want to get going good, two things that I've heard neuroscientists talk about most is throw some water down the gullet and get you some sunshine in your eyeballs.
Yep.
Two very important things to turn on those neurotransmitters and to turn off like other hormones. Melatonin, another hormone, D3, a vitamin. It's very, we're talking about hormones and get those kind of things checked. Just more validity to the reasons why you need to go back and do that. And then another
vitamin B1
on my list, this I think might be the most important: sleep.
Oh, absolutely. When you lack sleep, it not only, now some people may say, "Oh, I can function with 2-3 hours." You think you can.
Right.
You're not really functioning. It's going to catch up to you. You never make up. Always hear the expression, I'm going to catch up on sleep on the weekend. You're never going to catch it up. Just try to make your focus. Okay, I'm going to see if I'm going to shut down everything, including social media, Facebook, stop scrolling at a certain time, at least about an hour, 2 hours before you go to bed.
Mm-hmm. Make it as dark as you can.
Yep. And just turn off that brain activity. If you gotta hear something, some people like to have a TV on for background noise. Can't have a TV on, have a fan on in your room. You don't have to have a space in your
phone.
Mm-hmm.
I love those. We listen to rain just about every night. We listen to storms.
Yeah.
Music, really melodic music, classical music, other kinds of music you can just play really softly with some rain in the background will help you. Meditation, speaking of mindfulness, do you do any kind of meditation, sitting or active meditations?
Active, more like if I'm at work, I would try to go somewhere to not so busy area. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I just sit in there and kind of collect myself, my thoughts. Sometimes I have my eyes closed, sometimes I have them wide open, but I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, I'm thinking about, it could be
just listening to yourself.
Yeah. I'm thinking about where would I like to be? How would it feel right now if I were in Hawaii? Just stuff, random things like that. You make it your own and have fun with it. Have a blast. It's your time. It's your moment. And I suggest people do that every day.
Yeah. Some form. And there's different forms. And I'll go ahead and mention, I didn't think about this, but to me, there's a difference. There's what I call a sitting meditation and an active meditation. A sitting meditation is where sitting with your eyes open or closed, and you're either focusing on a thought, you're focusing on sounds, you're doing some kind of grounding, something like that, or even possibly breath and breathing. Active meditation, you can meditate. To me, meditation is just doing something that makes you mindful. So it can be a walk. It can be a puzzle. Anything that gets you into that flow state, right? That meditative state, that kind of theta wave state, that dreamlike state that you can get yourself into is really great if you can do it right before bed. And there's so many, research it. Like he said, you know, he has his ways. There's many ways of doing it. There's a way that works for you. And the key in meditation, and you can probably back me up, is this, because one of the number one things I hear is I'll do it wrong, or I can't make my mind shut up. And Buddhists call that monkey mind, right? So it's basically meditation is catch and release. Think of it like fishing. There's going to be thoughts. Even the most Zenist Buddhist monk has thoughts enter his mind. But the key is not holding on to those and entertaining them, but watching them float through like clouds. So you're breathing, you're doing good, you're focusing in the moment. Oh God, I got to take Sissy to school at 5. Oh, okay. Let that thought go, and you go back to focus on your breathing, your sounds, your thinking about vacation or whatever you were doing to meditate, right? So there is no wrong way to meditate. There is no good or bad. The key is just to do it.
And even like you know, Christians, like when we pray, sometimes you still have other thoughts trying to enter in when you're praying. That's kind of like, in a way, that's like your meditation too. You're praying, you're giving it to God. You giving that request.
Praying's talking to God, meditation's listening.
Yep. You taking it in and stuff. It's just, I think people need to, you know, think of it that way as well. And, you know, not to, you know, go too far off, but mention once again, I just want to stress the importance of everybody out there. With certain things, make sure not only staying hydrated, thinking about what you're eating, but make sure you get, you know, your blood labs checked. I know sometimes, especially for, you know, for us as men, we neglect that, and we shouldn't, because it's very important. And I say that should start happening when you're 25.
Like me a little bit.
Oh, you're good. But you got to get those things done, because you'll find sometimes you have low vitamin D levels. That affects your mental health. You might need to think about, okay, I had to start taking a vitamin D supplement. Talk to your doctor about that, of course, what milligrams or micrograms you need. And vitamin B1 is also really helpful.
Right.
That helps you with sleep. It can. Actually, both.
Theanine, right? Are both minerals that are really good in sleep that a lot of times people are lacking on.
Yeah, there's always something out there, because I always hear some people say, oh, melatonin doesn't work for me. Well, yeah, like you said, magnesium can work. There's always an option out there. So I just want people to like explore, think about it. Don't just give up at one thing. That's not how real life works. It's not realistic.
I've been studying myself and these techniques for 30 years now, and the one thing I've learned is I don't know shit.
Yeah, true.
You know, it is. The more I know, the less I know. But that's a good thing, because it puts me in a place to learn. And the more learning I do, the more pieces of that puzzle I put together, and the more clear my total mental health picture starts to look. So what are some of the things, both for your mental health puzzle, the pieces that you need to keep in place to keep you on track? And what are some things that maybe I missed that you want to add in, if you could think of anything else to add to that list to keep mentally healthy?
Oh, no, you're good. For me, I like to give myself peace. And, you know, I know it's a lot of young people always want to say protect your peace, but it's not a cliche thing. It's not I'm going to post this for Facebook. It's a real life thing that I think we all need to take seriously. That's why sometimes, let's say if I did a wrestling show, it didn't, you know, I did my part, it went well, but I'm just like exhausted afterward. I just don't want to fool with it. I either deactivate my account, or I just won't even go on Facebook.
Let me tell what people, that's called. It's called setting boundaries.
Yep.
Which is something I left out, and is also very important. That's basically what he's talking about now. And that's a very good thing to do, is both set them and stand by them, because people that really love you and care about you and your happiness and mental health will be okay with your boundaries, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, you learn who is, who isn't. And like, I think Sunday just came back from Texas, and I posted that, you know, I don't want to hear any wrestling BS. I don't want to talk to anyone like that. First thing and stuff, I get a DM. I'm like, I
It's like
just
telling people not to think about elephants.
right. They just like the post that you go and do this anyway. It's like, really?
Yeah.
So I protected my peace. I just, I saw a little preview a little bit. I just swiped that over and I said, you know what? Nah, phone's going off.
Yeah.
It's peace time.
Because it's hard, even when you set those boundaries. It's especially when I don't know if in the past I still am to this day, though I've gotten a lot better at it. I have a tendency to be a people pleaser, and a lot of people have that tendency, and it's hard for those people to set boundaries, and then they'll get pushed to a point to where they'd wish they had those boundaries because now you're pissing us off, and a lot of times we'll react and stuff. So sometimes those boundaries, what's great about those, even though they're hard to set and keep sometimes, is that they keep things from escalating or progressing because you've already set that fence up.
It's like, no, don't cross this. And you have to be, it's hard at first because, you don't want to hurt people's feelings. You don't want to let them down, so to speak. But
right,
you can't let yourself down either. You matter.
Because it's not selfish to take care of you, and this all sounds cliche too. You can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of you. If you are better to you, you will find out that you are better to everyone else around you, and you are more capable in so many ways to both help them and to help yourself. It's actually selfish, and it sounds oxymoronic, which a lot of mental health stuff does, but it's really selfish to not take care of yourself, right?
Right. It really is. And because we deserve that for ourselves. We have to.
We're worthy.
Right. You're worth it. You're worthy. And, you had to believe that, you had to own that. If people truly care and love you, they respect those boundaries. They won't come later and say, oh, you changed, you're this and that. If you get those people, okay, you can know who to.
You don't put up as much as you used to. I don't like you that much no more now that you don't put up with stuff. You're a little.
How dare you stand up for yourself?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Stand firm, right? Stand firm by your boundaries, and the people that need to be in your life will be, and the people that don't.
I want to mention this thing too. That we didn't talk about earlier is this term called cognitive dissonance.
Yes, big problem on Facebook and in the world today, right? That's what Facebook is. It's just a.
I'm living this way, but I'm actually this way.
Yeah.
You can't say I'm gonna be a nice person, but I'm an asshole at the same time. They don't match. It's kind of like the old expression, we use here, being a hypocrite. You can't be a hypocrite. Like, for instance, this is my Coca-Cola. I can't say, I want to lose my gut, but I'm doing this every night. That doesn't work.
Right. But that's what we do because you know that just like we do with people that treat us like shit, when we treat ourselves like shit, what do? We rationalize it, right?
Yep.
We turn that into what we deserve. I deserve to destroy myself with this Coca-Cola, with being mean, with when you see bullies out there talking about not bullying or things like that. It's so frustrating. But then on the other hand, as being understanding, you got to understand that that's their mental health and their shit, and there's nothing you can do about that except for change yourself. Those are coming from a place that we can't understand because we've not been in their shoes or had the variables of things happen to them. And we all got those things, right? Like it says in Christianity, one of the things that fewest Christians listen to, one of my favorite sayings is, get the plank out of your own eye before you start talking about the speck in mine.
Yep.
That being said, that doesn't mean if somebody calls you out on being an asshole or being mean, that, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people use that to rationalize it, like, well, you don't worry about what I'm doing to take care of yourself. It's like, yeah, but now it's affecting me. That's what they forget is it's one thing when it only affects you, which I don't like to see people affected, even people that are ugly like that. I don't want to see them affected or afflicted. I want them to be mentally healthy. I want them to be happy, because if they are and they get to that point, then they're going to stop being that mean person or that bully or whatever.
Absolutely.
And of course, that is not coming from, I'm almost 50. I've been in the military. I've raised kids, grandkids. That is not coming from a rose-colored glasses look. That's just reality. I know I can work on myself, and I know the better I make myself, the better people seem to show up around me, and the worse people seem to square off. So on the one hand, you got to find that balance. You don't want to judge or necessarily focus on everybody else's mental illness, because that means you're not working on your own. But that also doesn't mean that you need to be treated in any certain kind of disrespected way. Right?
Absolutely.
There's a difference between understanding and condoning. Like, I understand mental health and I understand why people do things, but that doesn't mean I don't think that certain people should go to jail when they commit crimes just because they are mentally ill either. So there's a difference in being understanding and condoning, right? And that's what you're saying. I just wanted to clear that up for anybody who might, because you can kind of hear people talking in your head sometimes. I'm already overthinking it, and I'm already defending it before it gets here. So probably nobody was thinking that way, but in case you were, there you go.
And I've learned over the years, it's, I'm hard headed, so it's taking me a while to learn it, but it's just,
but you got to learn that. That's the first step. Like, if you can make that step, journey of 1,000 steps, cliche, but it's true. You got to take that first one. My mom used to say, how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Right?
Yeah.
It's too overwhelming. So just those little things.
Yeah. I've learned that, there's always going to be someone with an opinion who's going to say whatever they want to say about you, or misinterpret whatever you want to say.
Right.
Don't worry so much about, being understood. You know where you are coming from with your message. You knew where it was in your heart.
Don't need to explain. Right?
And that's what matters the most.
Yeah. It's like I tell her sometimes, you don't have to understand to be understanding.
Yep.
Even if you can't empathize with the situation, you can still sympathize. You can still go, I don't get it, but it's sad that situation is the way it is, and I hope it's better for whatever. Well, before we wrap it up, buddy, is there any other things you want to add about mental health or any other advice? Let me say everything I've said here tonight out of my mouth is an opinion. I'm not a healthcare official or officially certified in anything that has to do with anything healthcare. So take everything I've said with a grain of salt, research it yourself, try it first, talk to other people about it, get their opinion. And I'll just put that out there just as kind of a waiver thing. Don't tell everybody I told you to anything. Disclaimer. The overall thing is, I hope that somebody will pick something out of what we said tonight and go, that something will resonate. So if something resonated with you, let St. Nick know. Let me know. Let Chronic Conversations know. You can leave messages on our website, which is www.chronic-conversations.com. You can leave comments on YouTube, just about anywhere we are. You can leave comments. When you do get back into the wrestling and things, do you have anything coming up when it has wrestling after you come back from break that you want to make anybody aware of? Or
I'll be on September 18th. I'll be in Cincinnati, Ohio for Cincy Wrestling. It's hard for me to say. Cincy Wrestling. It's Cincinnati with Cincy.
It just don't make no sense to me.
Exactly. Making my debut there and be on commentary, which I love doing commentary because it's hard work, but it's a good challenge. So love. So come out and see that. Ace Austin's going to be there. JTG, a lot of names. It's going to be amazing. Tickets are on eventbrite.com right now. I think they might be at a discount too, so check that out. In addition, just released a new EP called Damn, I Don't Want to Feel. But unfortunately, I'm not
saying Ron Simmons story?
Damn. No.
Damn. Wrestling joke. If you know, you know.
Right. But it's mostly me challenge myself, going to a whole different genre, doing kind of like punk pop songs. So think kind of like a little bit of Blink-182, a little bit with the way the tracks sound. That's on Spotify, wherever you stream music or buy music, it's there.
Yeah, be sure you tag me in it, so you should be able to find it on Chronic as well.
Okay, definitely. And also, I have t-shirts on sale, prowrestlingtees.com/Scene Nick. I have a lot of shirts. I'm retiring in December. So if you want to get a little memento,
you can.
You're right. Just grab it because I'm shutting it down. So,
man,
just come out and see me. And also, too, just want to mention this real quick. When it comes to mental health, just it's hard to recognize, okay, this is me, but there's no stigma. Everyone's going through something.
Right.
Every single person. You see people up and down in cars, they're going through something, trust me.
Yeah.
You don't know what these people are going through each and every day. You're no different. So accept, okay, maybe something's going on, and do the necessary footwork with it. Like Jerry mentioned earlier, speak with a good friend, a trusted friend, I might add. One is not going to blab everything, but one is also going to keep it real with you.
Right.
Not a yes man.
Right. Not somebody's going to blow smoke up your ass and be like, oh, you're all right.
Right.
And you may be, but you want somebody that.
You're a great singer. Go be on American Idol.
Yeah, go be on American Idol. You're a great singer. You really want somebody. I mean, you want somebody that'll do neither. You don't want somebody blowing smoke up your ass, but you don't want, somebody being like, you're all right, you're fine. You don't need that help when you really do. So, yeah, like you said, somebody you trust, somebody will tell you like it is, at least their opinion, and you can take that and weigh it with your own heart and stuff. And again, see what resonates. And I do apologize. There's been a lot of, like I said, between mental health and injury and stuff popping up with our daughter, and we have PIPAs and dads and surgeries and all kinds of things. So these 2 weeks have kind of got messed up and rearranged. So I am working on getting some shows that were supposed to be this week together for next week. Hopefully I can. I don't make any promises yet till I get them, but I'm trying to get Cleo MCM back on. He is a pro boxer that's now 2-0 and also a rapper and CEO of Money Camp Monopoly. Shout out to him. Thank you again, Kevin Kennymore, for an amazing fight night. Tracy Critcher and K South Promotions. Thank you, Thompson's Personal Training, and That Good Photography was there. The Paracord people at I just forgot what they're. My God, they've been my sponsor forever. I'm sorry, guys. You're gonna hate me, but I've talked about it enough. You know who I'm talking about. Get with Taz for all your Paracord needs, from get backs to whatever else you might need. And if you enjoyed this, Not Bad Creations. Yes, thanks, babe. I've been hitting the head a lot. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I've been hitting the head a lot, and I don't know if it affects my mental health. I'm really not sure if it affects my mental health. Anyway. Thanks for joining us on Chronic Conversations. Hi, my name's Jerry Anderson. No? Hi? No? Okay. Speaking of mental health, man, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Also, go back and see, we've had a couple of other great episodes as well, from just talking about your life and professional wrestling in general, as well as a tell-all that you have done in the past. And I'm sure those will be more to come, especially as you leave the wrestling business. I'd love to talk mental health to you some more always. So definitely stay tuned or go back in time and see some of these other ones. Thanks for joining us again, Nick, man. I appreciate you, brother. Just hang out with me here while I end the broadcast, and I'll holler at you some more, man. Thanks everybody for watching, both see Nick and the people watching. I appreciate y'all for giving me your time, because like I always say, it's the one thing you can't give back, and I appreciate that more than you will ever know. Hello, glad to be live, Jesse. Thank everybody that was watching live tonight. That was nice. Again, during my sessions, if you want to ask a question, I'll try to get those answered during, if I can. If not, then I don't know, find you a hobby or something. Have a good day. Peace, love, mental health. Bye, everybody. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.